Little countdown there. Hey, if you've got this part of the video, you've got the live unedited edition Home Gadget Geeks Thursday night. It's the 19th of September. It's of 2024. It's 8 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. Is that right? Yeah. If you got this any other time than that, you've got the recorded version on our recorded channel at theaverageguy.tv. And that's great. Hang tight. We'll get started here in just a second. If you're listening live, checking in the chat room, we'd love to hear from you there. I see Tony and TJ. TJ, thanks for coming out. Randy Black is checking in. Randy hasn't, first time he's been able to make it, I think, out here for a while. So Randy, and he's a regular on Ask the Podcast Coach on Saturday mornings. Good to see you. Marv Bee with me tonight. Marv, how are you?
I am good.
Good. Good to have you. It's always great to have you. Appreciate you coming out tonight. What do you got for a beverage tonight? What'd you go get?
So I obviously did not plan very well because I've got just your standard Coors Light.
Yes. All right. You're kind of a Sam Adams guy though, right? I mean,
Sam Adams and Yingling.
Yeah.
I've been going through whenever we go out to a place, I usually try to find what ales they have. So I'm going through this pale ale, brown ale phase.
Oh.
So
okay.
But none were here at the office. They're all at the house. And
you need to bring some into the office.
Yes.
Apparently. Yeah, apparently. You need to bring some in the office. We are Randy, let's see, hold on. Let me get to we're in restream.io this week for the next couple weeks. So things are a little new for me. So be patient with me. Randy Black says Mountain Dew over here. So Randy checking in. I'm taking the default on these. Let me see. Interesting. Okay. So he's checking in with that. Uncle Marv says hi, checking in. Those kind of come in a little slow.
Oh, they come in from the top. It's a little different.
Yeah. Justin says hazy pale is better.
Ooh.
So it's just as delicious. Doesn't have to be better. Tony's waiting for John. I didn't hear from John, Tony. I don't know. He usually lets me know if he's coming or not tonight. So I'm sure we'll see him here shortly. Randy says, why not EV Mux? It's kind of slow on the draw on these. I'm gonna have to get used to it without StreamYard.
So
we will officially cancel StreamYard this weekend. So this is working great. I'm not going to stay. I may not stay on Restream. I'm going to do it for 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm going month to month, and I'm going to give EV Mux a try. Although this really mimics StreamYard really well and is a little bit better in some areas.
Yeah, I remember looking at EV Mux a while ago, and I just didn't feel it was there yet.
Okay. It has a lot of options. Dave and I tried it on Saturday mornings for Ask the Podcast Coach. And when I say Dave and I mean Dave. And I had nothing to do with it. I just showed up, right? I may still give it a try. This works really well. It's $16 a month if you pay annually. It's pretty reasonable. StreamYard wanted $45 a month. So that's kind of a no-brainer when you think about okay, I'll probably make the move. So Randy, I may try EV Mux. Nothing against it. It's super customizable. It's got a lot of stuff in it. I may give it a try just so I can talk about it on Ask the Podcast Coach, but we'll have to give it. Tony says, accidentally disabled the browser login for my Synology box. If only there were someone who could help me, Uncle Marv.
Uh-oh. I don't think I've ever had that happen. Disabled the browser login? Interesting. So, well, normally you would go in by IP address, and I guess you can turn it off. Now, there is a Synology NAS Finder software that you should be able to do that. And I only know that because I've used it twice, but it's basically software you can download from the Synology site, and if you're on the local LAN, you can use that, and it'll find all the Synologies on the network, and then you can sign in that way.
My Moro data box, which I had, we're going to talk about this in the show a little bit, but I had, they sent that to me in 2017 and it gave up the ghost this weekend. So I was moving some things around. I don't know if I killed it or if it just died on the final power down, but it will not power back up. So I have, well, we'll talk about it during the show. That'll be one of the things we'll cover at the end there. So I've got my own things to do. Randy says, we won't cover this in the show, but Ecamm is my favorite on the Mac side. I could do that here. I'm running the Mac Mini, but I don't do video. I streamed earlier this evening with but an audio only live stream. Yeah, I could do Ecamm, and I still may try Ecamm as well. I don't know. This Marv, this is tough. I like this software because it looks and acts a lot like StreamYard.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where you're like, I feel like I'm home.
I'll have to ask you later, because the extra things that StreamYard does with being able to bring in videos and music and all of that stuff.
Yeah, music is available. You can bring in, this is different. You could bring in a QR code. Don't look at it because it's their QR code, but I could bring a QR code and it's in the upper right hand or upper left hand corner there. You can do some support this stream things with a QR code. You can put demo links in there if you want to. So kind of some interesting things along those lines. Let's see what else did you say?
So you can, on StreamYard, you can do videos from your device, or you can upload them ahead of time and have them stored inside of StreamYard.
I think you can do that here. We'll have to get that figured out as we get a little bit closer, as we use it a little bit more. I'm trying to not do what Dave Jackson does and try to do all the things on the first time I use it. We're going to keep it kind of simple. I knew this would be a pretty good week to do it with you on, because you're a fellow podcaster and it's just going to be easy. We're not trying to do a lot of things.
Right.
At one point I thought I might try to play some video or play some audio, and I'm like, okay, let's give it a couple weeks. We'll give that a try. Again, this is working great. Looks just like StreamYard. So we'll have to see how it goes. So, all right. Well, we have a lot to talk about. Let's get this thing rolling. Marv, we're going to talk. We got a little bit about Apple EarPods versus Bose SoundSport, right? And you got a new Rodecaster. And that'll probably give us enough. Here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 623 with guest Marv Bee, recorded on September 19th, 2024. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv here in a really still warm Bellevue, Nebraska. Marv, I know it's always warm where you live, but everybody here is ready for fall, and it will not let go. We have a couple days. It's been really hot, really dry. Grasses are going dormant. Everybody's like, when is fall going to get here? Do Floridians ever say, when is fall going to get here? Or is it summer all year long?
So Floridians don't say that. It's all the other people that come down here. They're here for the summer when they expect it to be hot, and then they're sitting around in the middle of January thinking, when's it going to cool off?
Yeah, like never. No, it's not. It's not ever. Yeah.
You got a couple of weeks at the end of January, and that's about it.
Nebraskans, listen, I got Nebraska gear on. Huskers are 3-0. First time we've been 3-0 in 8 years. We got Illinois playing on Friday, so then they're ranked. First time we've had a ranked team come in and have a shot at it for a while. But anyways, Nebraskans are complaining about the heat. They're ready for some cool fall weather. It's football season. You're supposed to have fall weather during football, so hopefully it will come soon.
Well, my team is the complete opposite. The Florida State Seminoles, after having a wonderful year and being left out of the college playoff, can't seem to get a win at all.
Oh, they played some tough teams. They have played some tough teams.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Memphis shouldn't have been that tough.
Well, I was
Ex-
trying to give him some credit.
except for the fact that that was Mike Norvell's old team, so I'm sure they
Yeah.
had a little something for him.
Yeah, you never know. Well, college football, you never know. But you know what? It's back. That's the best part.
Yes.
We know fall is coming. Of course, we also know some world-class show notes are coming. We'll have a few out there for you. So check it out, theaverageguy.tv. For this one, go /HGG623 for this show. Want to give a big thanks to our Patreon subscribers, those of you who help me do what I do each and every month. And whether you sign on for a month or just 1 month, you can join the Patreon team if you want to do that, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. And then if you want to click through or for we'll talk a little bit about Uncle Marv's affiliate links here in just a second. But if you want to support the network on a regular basis, you can use that company that starts with an A. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention it, or I don't know the rules.
Aren't you? Yeah, you can mention them.
Can you say Amazon?
Are you an associate?
I'm an affiliate. Yes.
Yeah, you can mention that.
Yeah. Can you say it on?
Yeah, you can say it on
sure?
air, and as long as you, wherever they go to click, you just have to say that, we may earn money if you, click here.
Yeah. Actually, I have a link on the site front upper right-hand corner that says that. If you just click on that, it'll pass you right on through, and you'll be good. You don't need to do anything else. Uncle Marv's got it. Let's cover this early, Marv.
Okay.
If you've got like, you need to reach a certain goal for this month. Talk a little bit about that. I'll have that link in the show notes. But what are you doing on Amazon?
Yeah, so I had been an associate for a few years, but I really didn't get it cranked up until a few months ago. And my listeners have been great. And they are running this promotion, and they have a thing called Creator Rewards. And they actually just make it to where if you hit what they call certain thresholds of shipped revenue, you get a bonus. So it's something like if you hit $2,500, you get $100 bonus. If you hit, $4,000, you get another $100 or something like that. So the last 2 months, my listeners have been fantastic, and I've hit in the top tier for the last 2 months. And this month's kind of slowed down and stuff. So I'm letting people know that, hey, if you're going to buy anything on Amazon, use my link. And, because I think the top bonus is an extra $400. So
do you know how long the cookie sits? So I put the link in the chat for anybody live, and then for anybody listening after the fact, it'll be available over at theaverageguy.tv. I talked a little bit about that earlier in the show notes. How long do cookies sit?
So
do you know?
Most of the cookies last 24 hours.
Okay.
So from the time you send somebody the link or the time they click on it, whatever they're doing in that session, and then usually the next day they've got to re-sign in and all of that stuff.
Well, Marv, you're a good friend of the show. Click on, if you're listening live, click on that for the next 24 hours, whatever you buy on Amazon, or if you want to do it for the next couple days, however you want to do it, it works for me. If later you want to come back and click on my link, that works too. I appreciate you guys doing that. It just kind of helps. It's an easy way of supporting content creators, and so thanks for doing that. We'll have it in the chat for live folks. I'll have it in the show notes for the folks listening after the fact, or if you're listening there on YouTube, try to remember to get that maybe in the YouTube comments as well down below when we go live.
And the best thing, Jim, to tell them is it doesn't do anything for you. There's no extra charges. You pay the same price regardless of whether you use the link or not. It's just that Amazon gives us a little kickback on the back end for referring.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, right on. So I always appreciate that. If you want to do that for Uncle Marv, do that in however you want to do that. Of course, I didn't mention this. I didn't finish that sentence because I don't finish sentences very often. If you want to support us on Patreon, head out to theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. You can do that as well. Big thanks to Christian, and congrats to him. If you didn't catch the show last week, Christian's going to be a dad here in the next couple months. 6 months or so. And we're going to collect your best dad jokes. I feel like that is an appropriate thing to do. If you head over to homegadgetgeeks.com, there's a speaker over there, or there's a little microphone over there. Leave a 30-second dad joke, and we'll play it on the show. He's coming back like December, I don't know, the first week of December. And I'd love to play those dad jokes for him when he's coming back. We're super proud of Christian and all the work that he does. And so get those in, homegadgetgeeks.com. Click on the microphone button. You got 30 seconds. Marv, do you have a standing dad joke that you use for, that you just pull out? No,
I'm an uncle. so I don't.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, you have any uncle jokes?
Actually, I don't, because
Uh,
so we have a term in our industry that people use. Uncles are usually the creepy guys in the family, so I
oh, that's
I,
true.
I try not to be
That's true.
creepy.
Nah, it's okay. You're not the creepy uncle. We don't see you that way. So good stuff. Just a reminder for those, we talked about this in pre-show. We're using restream.io tonight, and so we'll give it a try. If you podcaster, or those of you who are listening on the live stream or on the podcast version, or even on YouTube, you're not going to notice any difference. I did change a little bit of what's going on around us on the screen, and not because we're on Restream. I was just talking with Ed over on Sunday, and I thought, oh, my graphics don't look exactly right. Let's move some things around a little bit. You know how you get that way, Marv, right? When you're
Oh
looking at
yeah,
stuff, and all of a sudden one day you just kind of go, I should change that a little bit. So cleaned up the graphics a little bit. I took out the Home Gadget Geeks graphic used to sit behind our video. It didn't make any sense. The top of it kind of stuck up, so I took all that out. A little bit cleaner. I don't know. What do you think, Marv? You have to
I
be on the
like it. I'm
video.
looking at it here. It's very simple. You've actually done your letters proportional to the space. If you go
Okay.
to mine, they're not proportional. It's a lot of dead space around it. But I did go through where I made it to where, if there's 3 people on the show, I can change the background so that I've got my logo and stuff showing in the different corners and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it looks good. Yeah.
Good.
Very,
Good.
very nice,
Thank
very
you.
clean.
Thanks. Randy says in chat, he says, no uncle jokes, or they're usually dirty. So yikes. And then Justin says, I keep telling dad jokes, but I have no kids. So papa on that. And it's okay. You can still tell dad jokes even if you're not a dad. They're just lame jokes is basically what us dads, we're pretty lame. Uncles, pretty cool, by the way, right? Someone always says cool uncle. Oh, that's my cool uncle, right?
Usually.
Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Right on.
So it's uncles and grandparents because we buy the kids stuff, give them candy, and then send them home.
For sure. That's the right way to do it. Marv, you've got a new website, or I should say you're working on a new website, unclemarv.com. Are you consolidating everything over there?
Yeah, I am. So I've got the 3 separate websites for my podcast, and I wanted there to be one place for people to go whenever I'm out and about. And it was, trying to direct them here and there. So I just created it last month. So unclemarv.com. And right now it's my landing page that shows all 3 of my podcasts. And I'll be actually adding to that page. So that is going to be like the front page for a lot of stuff going forward. I've got some picture galleries up, from a couple of events that I went to. I'll probably put my affiliate stuff up there. I don't know if I'm going to do a blog for that one, but I've got blogs for my other pages. So I'm trying to figure all that stuff out. But
yeah, it's kind of fun redesigning things and consolidating stuff and all of that stuff. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. I lost, well, I didn't lose, but I did lose it. The Moro data box that I had from 6 or 7 years ago went dead. I lost all my backups. I didn't lose them. They're over at Backblaze B2. I'm gonna have it's gonna cause me to rethink some things. When you do a new website, right? You got to rethink some things.
yeah,
You got to do some changes, and you learn some stuff, right? You learn some things like, oh yeah, next time I do this, I'm not gonna do it, or I am gonna do it this way. Did you feel like getting a new site or consolidating some things helped?
so it helped me to think about what I want to do going forward in terms of, if this is my landing page, how do I want it to distribute to some other stuff? Especially for podcasting, I'm like, well, do I want there to be an actual audio file on this page so people can listen, or do what I'm doing now where I'm just, having it redirect to the actual page from there? So I had somebody a couple of years ago when we were talking about, branding for the podcast and stuff, and they wanted to do it all together right then, but we couldn't find a way to make it look nice, to make it feel nice when people go there. So I came across this website package, and I figured, let me give this a shot. It's pretty inexpensive, so it's not like I'm out a ton of money. I didn't spend $5,000 to design a new
Yeah.
site.
Yeah.
It's all something that I can do myself, and it's actually got some neat little stuff to it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's the key. It's got to be easy. It's got to work. You got to be able to do it. Otherwise, they can be. I mean, they can just be awful.
Yeah.
After a while, you're just kind of like. So, anyways, well, good work, Uncle Marv. Really easy to remember. UncleMarv.com. MARV. UncleMarv.com. Check it out today. Hey, I wanted to ask you, Marv. I wanted to ask you about this. I had a listener, Chris Lux, who, if you are a longtime listener of Home Server Show, Chris, John Zadler, me, Dave McCabe, we did Home Server Show for a lot of years together. Chris sent this to me just today, and I thought it'd be kind of fun. I threw the link to it in the show notes there. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Restream just automatically when I shared the screen. Marv switched it over to this view right here. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. He sent me this. We were back in the Home Server Show days. We were big nerds about getting the smallest possible footprint, maybe, for your home server. In some cases, if you think about my good friend Mike Howard, who passed away a few years ago, he had a big Norco box that was giant. So we didn't all try to go for small packages, but he sent me this link today. Chris, thanks for sending me the link. A 2-bay mini PC, AMD Ryzen 7 5700U. It's mini. It's got 16 gig of RAM. It's got a 512 gig NVMe SSD in it. Mini PC. It's kind of designed for both. You can add 2 drives to it. I'm showing the box here. You can kind of see the setup here. We'll go through a couple of the pictures here. This is a good blowout of it. Here, we'll go back to that. Good blowout. Gets you 2 drives plus a cooling fan inside of it. Kind of a small little box. Marv, are these kinds of boxes attractive to you at all? $287 doesn't come with the drives, so you got to put some drives in it as well. But these things attractive to you at all?
So from a business perspective, not really.
Okay.
However, from a home user, consumer, yes. Gamer, kind of borderline, because it's, gamers always want to upgrade, the graphics and stuff like that. But for a cool looking box for a home PC, yeah, this looks nice.
Yeah, under 300. And I'm sure the drives aren't included, but again, 16 gig of RAM, half a gig NVMe SSD that's in there.
Drives are cheap.
Yeah, for sure. What would you put? Okay, if you say you were putting this home PC together for you, you're going to make this because it's an AMD box. They say gaming. I don't know what it will and what it won't support from a gaming perspective. But 16 gig is an ample amount of RAM these days.
Yes. Yep.
That Ryzen 7, ample amount of processing for most people and what they're doing. It's a Wi-Fi 6. What kind of storage, what would you put if you had a choice of 2 drives? What would you put in there?
I mean, to be honest, I'd still do what I normally do. I'd still do a Samsung SSD, probably 1 terabyte.
Okay.
Double that up for most home users. That's going to be plenty. I was trying to see if this did RAID. I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I didn't look. I didn't dive deep into the.
Yeah, I don't see RAID on there, but that would be the thing, is to do RAID SSD drives. I don't see that.
It does. They do kind of market it as a mini NAS device.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that means. Again, I didn't dig into it, but I'll leave the link to this. I threw it in the chat. I'll leave it in the show notes as well if you want to go and take a look at it. I'm not saying you should buy it. I just appreciated Chris sending this to me because we used to do this all the time, where we would send each other these really small. I mean, I had a Kangaroo PC for a while, which was a little tiny puck about that big. And the goal was always to see if you could make a home server out of it,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. So,
Randy,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this does look good if it does exactly what it says, with the built-in Wi-Fi, the 2-bay NAS. If you needed to do some home storage where you wanted to be able to play your music from your phone off of this, if that's the way it would work, then I could see that. I see a lot of people putting Synology boxes in their houses and, streaming their music that way. This would obviously be a lower cost of entry for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, under $300.
I mean, and the 2.5 gig network cards, obviously more than most home users would get. I barely see that on switches and stuff in the business world right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a nice little box to think about. Randy says in the chat, he says, I'm a huge fan of B-Link mini PC line. They have a S12 Pro with an N100 processor, 16 gig of RAM, 2 terabyte NVMe, running an Umbrella home server with a Bitcoin node, a few other services. That's very cool. And Randy does make a good point. You can always run today software RAID on anything, right? Doesn't necessarily need to be at the hardware level. You could even create, and I forget what Windows is calling it these days, but they do have a version of that where you could do some of those things. Could you make a home server out of this? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. I think it makes a pretty good, if you needed a new PC, makes a pretty good desktop for you.
Yeah. I consider this for the PC and for, like I said, if it will share data wirelessly, for home stuff, I would do that.
Yeah. Justin says, go get a 1 liter Lenovo Mini or a Dell Micro or an HP Mini refurb. No 3.5, but really not too many use cases where you can't get a 2.5 disc in these days. And to your point, in the picture they were showing 3.5-inch discs in there, but I'll be honest, I think a 2 terabyte in this case, 2 terabytes in there, it'd fit right, and you can put them in enclosures, and there's a whole bunch of different ways you could do that.
Well, it said up to 40 terabytes, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah. Well, and that's right, 220s they're thinking, and that's all of a sudden those drives are more expensive than the whole thing is, right?
Yeah, I would go probably 4 terabytes at the most. I mean, I do 8 and 12s of my Synologies, but those are for other stuff. But for the homes, I've got 4 terabytes in my business PC.
Yeah. We're really getting back to our home server roots here. Joe says, I just built a second unraid box, used the Dell Precision 3630. Tony mentions drive pool. You can use stable bit drive pool. That's a way to software RAID these if you want to pull those things together. I'm still using stable bit on some of my boxes. I think I own 4 or 5 licenses of that stuff. So you could, Justin says, pull the disk and put a real OS on the Ugreen, like a TrueNAS or Unraid, or just go Synology. I've thought about that with my Moro data box biting the dust. I've thought, do I get a Synology to replace it? I have an Unraid box. I think I'm just going to move things over there. We'll talk about that here at the end of the show. Thanks. Randy says Windows calls it storage spaces. Appreciate that. I couldn't remember what that was. And then Joe says, this one will be in my office. Went against my usual rule and bought a 2 times 12 terabyte used drives, $75 a piece with warranty.
What?
Couldn't pass it up. 12 terabytes for $75 each. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe, where'd you get those? What site? Throw that, and you won't be able to put the site in the Google chat because they'll block you. But maybe you could just say the site name, and I'll show that on screen. Would you buy it if you could get them for $75? Would you buy some? They're used.
Depends on the name. Depends on what they are.
Well, Chris Lux, thanks for sending that over. Just a good reminder of our old home server show roots. Thinking about these kinds of, I don't spend, Marv, I'll be honest with you, I don't spend a ton of time looking at those kinds of boxes anymore. I'm running a Mac Mini here, Mac Mini M1. I will probably move to the Mac Mini M4 as soon as it comes out. I think that'll be later this fall or early next spring. Yet I have a gaming rig that's a AMD Ryzen box that's got a NVIDIA card in it that I use as a YouTube player. That seems like a waste of power and a waste of space. But I've got both sides, Windows, and I have a couple laptops running Windows. I haven't thought about mini boxes. Do you think there's still a space for these mini PCs?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing. So, I just actually purchased a bunch of Intel Nooks to, give to a client because they've got these tiny little cubicles that their people are in, and we've been selling them the standard desktops, towers, and looking at the minis, I said, well, we can just go Nooks. So, especially in this period we're in right now, where companies are now thinking about bringing staff back to the office full time. Well, a lot of those companies consolidated their space, so they don't have the same space that they had before.
Right,
so most of these people are on some sort of rotating schedule or hybrid schedule where they're coming in maybe 3 days, and some of them are actually sharing cubicle space. So to give them as much landscape as possible, putting in these little mini PCs is a way to go.
Yeah. Joe says their HGST Ultrastar DC blah blah blah.
Yeah, I just saw those. Right now they're $84 on Amazon.
Yep. And you can watch eBay for those too. There's eBay stores. I've had some good luck getting some 4 and 8 terabyte drives back when I was doing hard drive, crypto stuff. And those drives I haven't had to RMA, or I haven't had one of those drives go bad. Some of my 1 and 2 terabytes drives from Western Digital have, but those what are they, HGST drives?
Yeah,
they still haven't gone down. They've been pretty good drives to me. Yeah, you were talking about Nooks. This is the Morrow Data Nook right here. They built their their servers. This is a G40, Morrow Data G40. Just built on a standard Intel Nook. It won't boot up. So I hit the power button, the light comes on, it goes red. I literally moved it. I turned it off, held the button down, turned it off, moved it. Was going to put it on the wall and put a strap on the the wall to hold it up. These things are freaking rugged. Like, I keep thinking, well, did I break something? No, I couldn't have broken something. So I may flash it. I haven't done anything with it. May try to flash it. Maybe the drive's bad. I don't know. I've got some work to do on it, but you can see here, I mean, they just bought these off the shelf, put a drive in them, put their own OS on them, and did them that way. Yeah. I'm going to need to, I'm going to have to come up with an application that allows me to connect to B2, a Backblaze B2, to start figuring out, like, okay, we'll talk about that here at the end. What do I pull down or don't? But yeah, these are kind of cool. And these little Nooks are they're pretty handy for that stuff. Let's see. So Justin says, why Nooks rather than the tiny mini micro series where you get 3, 4, 5 years, right? Warranty on them. Yeah. I think it's worth looking into. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think at the time, the Nooks were more available. So I'm an HP guy, so we do a lot of HP stuff. And the HP minis, when I looked at those versus the Nooks, the performance for some reason was just better on the Nooks. It was either that or stay with the HP small form factors, which they're small. They're just not as small and compact as the Nook or the minis. So I was looking at it from a performance standpoint because I've got to put these in, to a business environment where we're still running, case management software for attorneys off of a SQL database, and it's got to be fast.
Yeah. 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 No, right on. I think Asus owns this Nook line now, don't they? Didn't
I
they?
don't know. They keep changing.
Yeah, I think Asus has the Nook, and I think Intel sold it to them, and they're good. This thing is like I have not handled this. I set this up in 2017, and it literally sat on a shelf for 7 years without me really doing anything with it. Multiple power outages, multiple moving things around. It just was rock solid.
Yeah.
Moved it, put it up on the wall, stopped working for me. I'm sure, I don't know. The sides of this is not cheap plastic.
It's metal.
I
It's
mean,
metal.
yeah. Yeah, these things like
Or airline grade aluminum or whatever they call it.
whatever they call it, right? This just the top pops off. There's 4 screws on the bottom, allows you to pull the lid off of it. Really, really well built. So I'm going to do some work to see at this point. One, I got to get to my backups because they're sitting in B2, and I'm going to have to figure out an application or something to be able to pull those to look at the backups. Marv, let's just talk about this now for a second before we're going to dive in a little bit on AirPods and some of those kinds of things. But let me get your advice on this because you're a business guy, right? So I lost the box. It had a terabyte of my backups on it, and then it had a caching server that would push the rest to Backblaze B2. So
Okay.
it's about 3 terabytes there, right? So 2 terabytes of on B2, a terabyte local, but then local's dead, right? So all 3 terabytes are on B2. I can get to them at some point. I can get an app or something. I mean, it's tough to go to the website and pull them down. B2 doesn't work that way. You need some kind of connection to it or an app that can see those files or folders. But I'm really tempted. Now, there are some things I do need to recover. There were some things up there that I don't have locally that I need to recover. But a lot of what I have there are podcast episodes. I mean, I've been podcasting for 13 years. And I have a lot of I have all of the podcast episodes I've ever done are out there.
Right.
In
final format or still in RAW?
Yeah.
Do you have the RAW files as well?
I have RAW and final out there.
Okay.
In some varying forms, but let's just say they're RAW and final, right? That are out there. Both and in video form, because I always thought, well, if I keep it in video, then I can always make an audio version. Do I just leave those on B2? Yeah, they're there. I'm paying $20 a month, not a lot, to store 3 terabytes of data in cold storage on B2. Do I just leave them there for now and just let that? I'm not going to add to them. If I do start doing cloud backup, I'll probably do something different. Do I just leave them there for now? I don't know.
The short answer is obviously yes, but before I would consider that, I would make sure you can access them. So however you need to do that, which is one reason why when I talk about doing cloud storage, the front end of that storage has to be something that can be reinstalled on another device and simply attached to wherever the storage is. So for instance, the Synology stuff, if you go to C2, their version of the cloud, you can access that from almost any Synology and just attach to the account. Right. My business backups, I've got 2 of those where my RMM product has a backup. And if a station detaches is the best way to describe it. So if a system dies, you spin up a new system, you throw the agent on, and you can attach to the backup cloud of that and then just resync. Then you can do your restores as you normally do. These products, I think, what was the one that there was one that I had used. Mosey was one that I had used a lot of times where it was a direct backup and it wasn't easy to connect to. And I said, I can't worry about this. I need to have a quick way to connect. So I would definitely see if you can find whether it's an app or an install that can connect to them, because that's going to be the key. If you can't get to them, then there's no sense in keeping them. But want them.
I think, I think let's make the assumption, and so there's an application for the Mac that will allow me to connect to that drive and just see it as a drive, right? See it as a drive. Now, B2 is cheap for storage and nothing to put the data there, right? You can put it there as long as you want. They're going to charge you a little bit for storage. Egress is the
They're going to
problem.
pay. You're going to pay a lot to get it back.
You're going to pay. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
going to pay. And I know how much because I had that thing egress twice on me one time when I had a process go awry and it just kept reloading the whole thing twice. Now, I called them, they gave me a break, some of those kinds of things. But
yeah.
So the question really is, so I got this B2 bucket. It's got some stuff in it that I need. Let's just say there's maybe, I don't know, 500 meg of stuff that I actually need that's there. The rest are really just podcast backups. Do I just kind of not close out, but just leave that bucket in place, keep paying the 19 or 20 bucks a month to store it, start a new bucket for whatever I'm using. I'm going to switch my backups. In fact, over the last 6 months, I've been switching my backups from Moro data because I kind of thought, I wonder when this thing's going to go.
Right.
7 years old, right? It's like my hot water heater, which I got to replace this week too. And I'm thinking eventually this thing's going to go. So I've been moving my local or my current files to my Unraid server. Now they're only in one place. Like I have bad backups. They're only on my Unraid server at the moment.
You got to get those somewhere.
No, I do. This is I'm in between backup solutions at this point. But
so here's my question because I've never used Backblaze. Do those buckets work in the similar way as the Wasabi buckets where you've got an encryption key and a server to connect to and there's a third code or something, secret phrase or whatever?
They give you a key.
Okay.
They give you an API key basically to make the connection. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's so I've got some of my backups going to Wasabi because it was a little cheaper when I had started, and I've actually started moving those away just because I don't want to ever have to risk losing those keys, even though I've got them in my IT glue, stuff like that. But it's just that one thing where what if I decide to go away from IT glue, then I've got to pull those down. With my other solutions, I don't have to worry about that. I just install my agent, reconnect, use the accounts, and I'm good.
Yeah. A couple things. Justin says, let me get this out there. Justin says, hey, I just validated. I can get to my B2 bucket from the website. Yes, I can, Justin, but it's a really wacky interface.
It's clunky. Right?
It's super clunky. Yeah, from B2, it doesn't look like, if you go on their website, it doesn't look like files and folders. And it's just not like, I want to be able to go in and see it just like I do when it's a share, like it was a share before. So it's not super intuitive. Maybe there's some tricks that I don't know. Randy says can you get your data from B2 on an external disk? Yeah. Actually, Backblaze does offer a service. You pay a bunch of money for it, but they'll rent you a disk. It's kind of cool. They'll rent you a disk for 30 days. They'll put all your backups on it, send it to you, not email it, but physically send it to you. You can plug in. You have 30 days to keep the drive and then send it back to them, and they'll refund. They charge your credit card some money for the drive while you have it. Or actually, it's a really reasonable price for the drive. You can just keep the drive if you want to. It's super funny. They're like, if you just want to keep the drive, that's absolutely fine. You can have it. We'll never ask for it back. You're going to pay.
I might, if you're moving your data, I might do that. That way you don't have to worry about connecting and downloading and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just pay, what is it going to be? $100 for shipping in the drive or something?
Yeah. The data that I need is actually, I uploaded some keys to some things and some text files, some backups. Those weren't available to me locally. I should have saved those locally.
Yeah.
I admit that. I should have saved those locally. But so I need to get, and those maybe represent 500 meg of the 3 terabytes that I have there. The rest of it is just podcast stuff. Okay, let me ask you this though, Marv. It's just old podcast files from the last 10 years. I'm kind of thinking, I've been talking about this a little bit on Ask the Podcast Coach, that, Your kids care a little bit less about your data than you do. Their kids don't care at all. Most of your data is going to be deleted or gone or whatever by the time the second generation comes around. I'm kind of thinking at this point, do I really want to back up podcasts from 10 years ago? You're a podcaster. What are your thoughts? What should I really even should I just blow that, get what I need and blow the rest of it away and just be good with it? I've never gone
So
back to those backups.
so I've started going through and deleting a lot of the raw files that I know I'm not going to rebuild certain podcasts. So there's no need for that. I may keep the MP3 final, but I actually have some early podcasts before I rebranded that I'm thinking I might re-release in a new format and do, throwback Thursday podcast or something and play bits and pieces of those audios. But you can still do that with just like the final product. So to be honest, I would probably dump as much of the raw stuff and just keep the finals. But then, yeah, how far back do you really want to go? 5 years is probably enough because I mean, what
Yeah.
content is really going to be relevant from 10 years, except
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
nostalgia, aspect.
I know. I know. And I'm even caring less. I think about my very first Home Gadget Geeks 13 years ago, 14 in December. You're kind of, I go back and listen to it and I kind of cringe a little bit. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
but as soon as you get rid of it, listen, I had an Xbox, an original, no, yeah, I had an original Xbox. No, yeah, that we got rid of, that now I wish I had. And you go through this weird cycle with those kinds of things where you have it and you hold it and you hold it and you hold it. And then one day you're just like, I cannot look at this box anymore. I just need to get rid of this crap. You get rid of it 3 or 4 years from then, you're like, oh, I wish I would have kept that because whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah, but it's just nostalgia at that point.
Yeah.
The closest thing that I've tried to look at and justify is so I listen to a lot of Jim Rome, the sports talk radio
Yeah.
guy.
Love Jim. Yeah.
Now they have situations where they have literally archived his entire show, and it works because they refer back to bits that were funny and clips and interviews. And in that format, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm never going to have that. I don't have an audio engineer who's going to, play that clip from 2 years ago when we were at DattleCon, It's
Yeah.
not
Well, but this could be a situation, I mean, where we're getting with AI. We could be getting into a situation in the next couple of years where if you had those data files,
you can use that to train.
Yeah, they're transcribed. I've been so I've been monkeying with 11 Labs for this week. I've been spending some time. I've had some time at work to kind of mess with it, and I trained it on 3 hours of my content. Now it wasn't very good, but it's probably me. But having that data, all of a sudden, today I'm like, man, if I wanted to go back and get into the transcripts of what I said in the very first show, I'd have to go find it, put it in something to transcribe it, and then search through the transcription. I think with AI, we're getting to the point with audio where that's all just going to happen automatically here at some point in some way, don't you think? Then I could just index that and search on it and go find it and pull that quote.
Yeah, you just put in a query and said, hey, find any references to me saying this, and boom, there it is.
Yeah. Randy says he's doing Bible podcast. He says my favorite show I'm doing is a Bible podcast. My content can be very relevant 10 years from now. That's true. And some of the stuff we did could be, and some of it's nostalgic. We're talking about Windows 7 back.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 95.
Well, no, I think we were a little beyond that in those days. And then Tony, I haven't thought about this boxy box in forever. Like, but I haven't said boxy box in maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. That was an old, they would send you a bot thing. You'd put a hard drive in it. You could let friends back up to it. Like there was this whole, for a while, there was this whole mesh idea of backing up. Give some space. We'll give you some space.
Oh my goodness.
Did you go through that?
No. I was scared to that. I'm not going to let somebody have my stuff.
Well, it's all encrypted. Let's just be
And
really clear
and I
about
don't
it.
want somebody else's stuff because back
Yeah.
then, the only people that stored stuff were, the porn freaks.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. But say Marv, I said to you as a backup solution, hey, I'll give you twice what you need for backup, and we'll spread it around on a bunch of different boxes. Nobody will have enough to be able to get any of your data. It will be completely military grade encrypted. There's no way anybody can get to it. And all you have to do, if you give us a terabyte, we'll give you 2. Would you do it?
I probably wouldn't.
Okay. No, I wouldn't expect
But
you
the
to. I wouldn't
concept is,
expect
I
you to.
can tell you what, that's actually fantastic for some things because you're thinking about, listen, we're going to have to come up with a way to do music libraries soon
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
you can't buy music anymore. You can't buy physical music anymore. And these subscriptions to these places, they're all in the cloud. If
Mhm.
you want to own it, you've got to find a place to store it. So I could see something like that. That's probably a far-fetched example, but having access to your music
Yeah. Yeah.
is,
Well, we don't even think about my music anymore. Nobody thinks about the stuff they buy. Listen, I have a over here, I have a cabinet full of CDs that we've kept for whatever reason. I think maybe Sarah's gone through them. Have you gone through the CDs? She's down here for whatever reason.
Sarah.
Yeah. But we have we have several, I don't know what you'd say, maybe 100 of CDs that we own all those things. We could re-rip them if we want. Is
Yeah.
anybody gonna actually do that anymore? Would you
I,
rip something?
I started to,
Yeah.
but I did my last DJ gig. I still have it, a dual CD
Yeah.
player where
Yeah.
I could go and do the stuff like that. That was the only reason I kept the CDs. And
Yeah.
now I'm thinking I don't need to. I spent the last weekend at a conference DJing an after party off my iPad and
Yeah.
the Roadcaster.
Yeah. 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 Is there a need to have your own music anymore? You said
I
it. You said this. Do
Well,
you
here's the
need to
thing.
have your own music anymore?
I would say only in the sense of if you don't have internet and if you decide to stop your subscription, you want to have offline copies of music you
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my
That's
thing is
true.
I don't want to have
That's
to
true.
keep paying just to listen
Yeah.
to music. I don't want to be held captive by Bezos or whoever is running, the Amazon Music or Spotify or whatever like that.
Oh man, the chat room. You guys are on fire tonight. Randy says, yeah, Boxy Box final release December 2011. I
Mm,
remember talking a ton about that. Of course, back in the NSA days, right? Hey, look, we'll share lots of space. Yeah. And Justin makes a good point. He says storage is now cheap enough where FLAC is actually viable
mm,
for storage, right? You can store these this lossless audio. Listen, many of us backed up, we ripped all our movies for a
yeah.
while. And now with the advent of really good streaming, do you need to rip them anymore? But you're right. I mean, if the power goes down, if the grid goes down, if the internet goes down, what are we going to watch?
Or if you want to pay for a new service and, not every
Yeah.
service has every
Yeah.
song or every movie.
Yeah. Right. That's true. That's true. Right. And there may be times where license holders start to hold out.
Yeah.
Like they're like, yeah, no, you're actually not going to get those unless you pay. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but this is the danger in all this is all of a sudden they know they got you. And you're like, well, if you want to listen to your music, it's $40 a month or it's $99 a month. And you're like, crap, we've gotten to the point we don't keep our own music anymore.
We don't keep our own everything. Everything is a service now.
Yeah. 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 Well, it cycles, right? It goes in cycles. So good conversation. We haven't had a good solid backup conversation in a while. This is part of what you do from an enterprise perspective. When you think about your clients, I mean, this is their daily, I mean, files, accounting stuff, right? Do they worry about long time ago archives as much as they worry about the current stuff?
So my attorneys do,
Okay.
just because they may have something pop up in a case from a year ago or 2 years ago, and they've got to go find it. I had an attorney to, or not an attorney, I had a secretary today. She deleted her emails from today, and they weren't in her deleted, recovery items in Outlook. And she was in a panic. And luckily, this firm paid for advanced archiving. So I was able to go into, it wasn't the 365 portal. I had to go into a different portal. I had to search for all her emails from today
Yeah.
and get those back. I mean, their backup right now is so critical for a lot of these clients.
Yeah.
And whether it's today or whether it's a year ago, the problem is the year ago, most services really only want to keep your data for 30 days, and you're going to pay extra to keep it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep it beyond that, I did have, so Datto was a company that I did a lot of backups with. They had infinity backup, where they would keep it as long as you wanted. But for the client that I was using it for, they were already paying $1,100 a month for 12 terabytes of backup. It would have been like 1,800 for them to do the infinity backup.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it can get expensive for sure. I'm kind of thinking, I've got a bunch of drives and my full backup is about 3 terabytes, not terrible. And I'm kind of thinking I may go, yeah, I am using Backblaze B2, which is their cold storage, super cheap. But I may move to their single unlimited backup version, which backs up the Mac, even though I have the backed up to Time Machine. But I may move a drive over to the Mac, put that on Backblaze, and then just do the unlimited from here on out, which is about the same price as what I'm paying right now. And again, my storage I'm not doing as many podcasts as I used to. So my storage isn't growing that much. In the terms of things, I also bought back in the end of the year last year, I bought a Microsoft 365 account. I get 5 1 terabyte accounts. I could start ditching some of those backups in Office 365. And that seems kind of jankety, right?
Yeah, you want them in one place.
Yeah, no, right on. It seems kind of jankety. See if there's any comments in here. Yeah, there's a lot we haven't talked about backup in a while. But Marv, that is one of those kinds of things. You think you've got it until something, when this thing went down, I'm like, oh crap. Now I actually have to do something about this to get. So I guess, again, I've got some keys that I backed up for some things that I need. I don't need them today, but I'm going to need them at some point.
Yeah. So. And home users can kind of get into that trap where they don't worry about it. Business users, I mean, I have to every so often, and for some people it's once a month, for others it's once a quarter. I've got to check and make sure I can restore from a backup.
Yeah. No, right on. Listen, it's not backup unless you can actually restore it.
Right.
And I'm to that point now where I'm like, okay. I mean, I could buy a Synology and I could attach the Synology B2. They have a B2 app that I could attach to it. I still may do that, just to be honest. It's an easy solution. Got a ton of drives. I could fill that thing up. I may do that. Or I've got an app too I could put on the Mac that'll allow me to attach to it.
And that may make it easier to connect to, because if that Synology dies, you just spin up another one, throw in your account, download the app, boom, you're back up.
Right. Yeah. And Synology is the leader, I think, in this space right now. And so it's not like they're going anywhere. It's not like a boxy box,
no, but they're getting expensive for some people, because once you get to a certain level of box, you have to purchase their drives and their memory for them to support it. They're just flat out at the point now where they're saying, if you don't have our drives, we don't support you.
Yeah.
And from a business perspective, I like that, because, I have to tell the customer, look, we've got to get support. if something happens. It's you
Mm-hmm.
can't rely on just me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and I could go with a cheap Synology. I don't 3 terabytes. So I could get a 2 bay Synology, throw 2 4 terabyte drives in there, connect it to B2 and start downloading what I want. That's
Yep.
one way of doing it. It's probably $400 or $500. Well, yeah, probably four,
So
right?
the new, what is it? The 723 plus, I think, is just under 450, and then you get some drives. That one you do not have to validate the drives.
Is that a two
So
bay?
it's 2 bay, yeah.
2 bay. Yeah. I could
Um,
use QNAP too. I could get away from Synology and use QNAP for something like this too, right?
if Synology has a Backblaze app, yeah.
Well, Synology, yeah, but
I mean
QNAP,
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 if QNAP has the
yeah,
app.
yeah, yeah. I have to look into it. I think I'm gonna first try. I think there's an app on the Mac that will just map it, and I put my key in, and boom, I think we're done, and then I can start moving files around, grabbing stuff, and pulling it down. I do think for a while I'm just gonna leave it up there
I mean,
because
yeah,
the egress is painful, my friend. You know, and I'm like, why? Why do I need that if I can just lock it in place, turn off all the in other words, just leave it as cold storage backup. Just pay $20 a month.
yeah.
That's my thoughts. I know. Good stuff. Hey, you've been working with Apple EarPods versus a Bose sound.
Well,
Why have you been trying? Yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
tell you the story. So
Okay, go ahead.
here's the thing. So I've been traveling a lot, and I have been using the Bose SoundSports for years. And I've taken more trips this year than I have in any previous years, attending conferences, both as a you know IT provider and as a podcaster. And I went through this thing where I forgot. I'll just go ahead and say it. I forgot my sound sports. I left them in a hotel somewhere or whatever. It was just something like that. So I had been going through this phase where I was buying airport earbuds,
Yeah.
and the sound on all of them was just horrible when compared to the Bose. And I even bought some Beats wireless ones. I hated them. And I happen to remember that I got the Apple, they're wired. Now they're not wireless, but they're wired, and they've got I'm still using an iPhone 15, so I have to use the the charger port, because that's always the big thing is, none of these phones are coming with the 3.5 jack for earbuds or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. No, for
So
sure.
I had these, and so I've been taking them with me, and of course they sound just as good as the Bose. The problem is it's a wire. The Bose SoundSports are wireless, so they're not the earbuds only. They have the cable that you can hang around your neck. So if they fall out of one ear, you don't lose them, because I have lost some of those. And I've been testing. I said, you know what? Let me see how close these are. And these Apple earbuds, now the wired, I haven't tried the wireless.
Yeah.
They and the Bose SoundSports are almost identical in
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Insignificant. This is weird to say, significantly less, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these things are, you can get them like $12, 12, $16.
Significantly less. I never
Significant.
thought I'd say that about an Apple product ever. But
Yep.
yeah, all of a sudden you think, yeah, wireless is nice. Listen, I'm still using, as you look at this, I've been using, these are the same. I mean, these are old school
Yeah.
round jack, whatever the millimeter, I forget what that, the
3.5
small,
millimeter
yeah,
TRS.
3.5 millimeter, plug it in. I've got some earbuds that I bought on, because earbuds got bought by another company, and they put them out of business. So I bought a bunch of the covers for it, and I'm putting the covers over so I put the earbud covers over the the Apple AirPod, goes into your ear. So I'm not wearing those, but I'm wearing EarPods with it. Significantly cheaper than trying to buy, but Bose or some of those other earbuds that are just, it's gotten kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah, it is. And so I just sat and I was thinking, my wife makes fun of me because, anytime I have an issue with the Bose, and I start tinkering around, she's like, just buy the Bose, but I'm like, you know what? I'm buying a bunch of these, and this is what I'm taking with me on the planes now
Yeah,
because I'd
you can
rather
have them
look
everywhere.
stupid with wires
Yeah.
than, lose those Bose again.
Well, okay, so I started working out again in the office. So, with us kind of returning to the office, I'm trying to go in most days. And the guy I'm working out with, we've been working out in the fitness center or whatever, stairs at work or whatever. And so I've realized about myself, I can't have shower gear here. I can't use the same stuff here as I use at work because I forget it at both places,
Right.
right? So I'm like, I need to have exactly the same thing in both places and duplicate it that way. I think earbuds are the same kind of thing. Like if you got a backpack that you take on travel, you better have something in your backpack that stays in your backpack, right? You can't be moving stuff around. That's for me. You can't be moving stuff around. It's like, oh yeah, I'll take it out there and move it here. No, you get to the airport, you're like, crap, that my
Mm-hmm.
headphones are on my desk at home, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I do that with my Bose SoundSports. I had an office pair, a home pair, and a car pair.
Yes.
So that way, if
Yes.
I'm out and about and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sitting, I had 3 separate pairs.
Yeah. No, I think it's, and you're talking, okay, so when you buy those 3, is it as much as the Bose or can you get 3 for less?
What, these? The
Yeah.
Apples?
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah,
Apples,
yeah.
they're $16. And
And the
I think
Bose?
you can the Bose are the Bose were 129. I
Yeah.
think Bose stopped making them, so they were 199 the
Okay.
last time
Oh,
I
they
looked.
went up. They
Yeah.
went up in price, right? Yeah. Yeah, and then you have all those problems. This is one of those things with Bluetooth, right? The wireless. Then you get on the plane, it's connecting to different things. It doesn't really work like it should. You're like, do I really? Now, listen, I have some quiet comfort 35s that I bought.
Okay.
They're the pre, this is pre-COVID, so I bought them in maybe 2018. So they don't have the Google or the A-Lady integration that came after it. I love those things and they're great for travel. They're noise canceling, they're pretty great. But they are my travel. I never wear them any other time except travel. So they're my
Yeah.
travel headphones, right? That's now I stopped traveling during COVID. I bought them right before COVID. Listen, I traveled. This is okay. This Marv, you got to tell me my thinking is right on this. I am the kind of guy that I wait until I absolutely need them before I buy them. And then what I usually find out is when you do it that way, the need for them ends quickly after you bought them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I need to start buying things as soon as I think I need them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been that way where I will wait and wait. I'm like, "Why am I getting this now? I don't need it now."
Right. Right. No.
But I got to the point too where if you wait too long, you can't find it or it costs more or something. But yeah, it's one of those things where I've learned you've got to plan your go bag early.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
No. As soon this is what I think. And I listen, I've been burned so many times on this where I've bought things early and then I don't use them. This is the problem, right? Is so you're like, okay, I need these things. I'm going to buy them early. And then you don't end up using them. I don't know. It goes back and forth. Brian says in the chat, he says, picked up some 3.5 to USB-C adapters to help use those corded headphones. Yeah, good, cheap.
yep.
A little dongle to make that work. I was at work today and they were replacing, so in the Gallup studios, They were replacing our PCs. I have 2 PCs in the studio, one to do video, one to do audio. And the audio one now does translations. That's what I plug some things into to do translations. So I said to him, you know what? When I started podcasting 12 years ago, laptops really struggled to do video the way I want it done today. But the laptop I have right now is awesome. So like, just give me a docking station. I'll bring my laptop into the studio for the video portion of it. It's plenty powerful. You can replace the audio one. And we started working on, they were like, so how are you doing the translations? I said, well, I start a StreamYard instance and then I bring that out in to my phone and I use Google Translator on my phone and I use a little dongle that looks like this, right? So this is one of those USB camera kit ones. This one in particular, I took it off. I need to take it into work. This one's got power, so I can actually power the thing as part of it. And they're like, you're using your personal phone for that? I was like, yeah. Like, dude, we'll bring you an iPad. we got plenty of iPads that you could just use and bring one of those in. But I kind of needed this. I need this kind of dongle when it's in there, right? That provides both power.
I've got one of those.
Yeah. And sound for it as well. And so I was almost trying to talk them out of. I'm like, oh no, I don't need that. And they're like, well, dude, we got this equipment. We'll give it to you. At one point, they had a Mac Mini they were trying to give me, and I'm like, actually, I don't think that'll work for me. What we're trying to do, I'm just trying to do basic translations with it. And so, anyways, it's Marv. It's one of those things. I got to be better. I got to be earlier about adopting. I'm always too late, on some of these things. In fact, I'm so late. This thing still has a plastic. This thing has its plastic cover on it. Hold on. Is this satisfying?
There you go. Oh, we're doing an unboxing with Jim.
It had the film still on it. I never took it off. Anyways, so you're going are you going to have those? You're going to have those earbuds everywhere? I mean, is that kind of...
Oh yeah, I'm buying a whole bunch of these now. So I'm going to have them. I'm going to have them at the house, at the office, in the car.
Yeah.
They're going to be, so I've got a go bag for travel, and it's just, I've got some USB cables for charging. I've got chargers, and I'll have this in there now. So it'll always be, well, I need 2 sets because I've got 2 suitcases. So I'm going to put them inside the, the
right
suitcase.
On. Yeah. Yeah. Right on. You're going to spend $80-$90, right? To get all of those. Then you'll have a set of headphones everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Why do we fight that so much? We think, why would I buy 5 earbuds when I can have one that does it all? Why do we fight that? That's just,
I don't know.
It makes so much sense.
Don't know.
Oh, all right. I have my Synology. Let's take a look at it. I think I'm going to go this route unless you talk me out of it. So Synology
223.
Yeah. DS223J, diskless. So it's $200. I got plenty of discs. It's a 1 gig. It's got 1 gig of memory, 2-year warranty, brand new off the shelf. I mean, I'd probably spend $200 to get that disc from them. If I'm going to back up a 3 terabyte, I'd probably spend that in shipping and all those other things, right, to get that here. And then I got a Synology on my desk. I've always wanted one of those. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So I have to take off my business cap because I'm like, that's not going to be powerful enough.
Right.
Which is why I went with the 723, but that's probably more than you want to spend. And the difference is because the 723, you can go up to 32 gigs of RAM in it.
Right.
And you can stick in the NVMe drives to boost performance. But for what you're doing, straight backup and backup only, that's probably going to be just fine.
Yeah, and really it's just to make that connection to the B2 backup. Grab what I need for the most part, get it local. Still have it there if I need it. Clean up the backup on B2 and call it good.
Yeah.
Gets me back in business. Yeah, I have, and I've got an Unraid box that I could do this on. I think that app I think the paid app to get access to the B2 is $10. So I may try that first, just to be honest. Grab that, see if I can make the connection. If it works and I get drive access to it and I can download it, I don't know. But I know for under $200, it's not a bad, maybe not a bad way to go, just to get past this. And it gets me in the Synology infrastructure. I have never had a Synology. I've always kind of wanted one, but I've never had one. Yeah, no. I've always done other things. I've always done wacky things to back stuff up.
So if you go with so that was the 223J, right?
223J, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if you just go 223, the drives are actually hot swappable. I don't know if that means anything to you or matters, but it would to me.
So a 223, but that's like $500, right? Versus
the 223, I don't think is.
I can get a 223 diskless on Amazon for $249. So another $60.
Yeah, but like I said, it's the drives are hot swappable, and what else was there? I was looking at the comparisons.
Randy said, Jim, didn't you have a Drobo? The Drobo died a long time ago, Randy. Thanks for the and then of course there's a mandatory dollar sign. Yeah, so thank you.
And it so it has 3 USB 3.2 ports. It has USB copy, which the 223J does not. So after you get that stuff down, you can hook up another external drive by USB and copy from the Synology to that drive.
Yeah, I'm having, well, in a little bit of ways, and I know there's probably some ways I can do this with Unraid, but they make it so easy on Synology, right? Plug it in, run the app, put in the key, boom, you're connected to your B2. I mean, it's a pretty easy box. I've got a couple drives I could throw in there right away. Should probably do the 250 as opposed to the 189 on that. Here's the good news. I'm not in a hurry. I don't need any of those tomorrow. It's not an emergency.
So if you wait till November, till the Amazon Prime days,
right? Yeah, no, right on. In fact, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this 233 to my cart on Amazon. And then what I'm going to do, which is a technique I've been doing for a while now, is I'm going to open the cart and I'm going to say,
save it for later.
Yep. I put it down there. I've got right now, I have the EcoFlow Delta Pro in my save for later. I have a 50 amp, 15-foot generator cord with pre-drilled power outlet. We've been talking about that on the show.
Wow.
So that's in there. I have the Micro Air Easy Start Flex in my save for later. It's become a real strategy for me. Put them in there and then watch the price changes over time. And you get kind of an idea of like when I should buy. Do you follow a similar strategy or?
So I do. And I'm actually seeing if I can pull my card up because you've got the Delta Flow in there. I just put in, actually, I'll do it off my phone. So I have, let me pull this up real quick, the whole house generator sitting in my save for later, which is, here it is, the Anker Solix F3800 home backup. So I've got it. It's the main unit plus an extender plus the transfer kit and a solar panel for $7,000.
$7,000. Yeah, I've been looking at the Anker. That's one of those things I've been looking at. I've been talking about this in the last couple shows of, I keep going back and forth. Like, do I put on my air? Because really the air conditioner is what determines what I need for backup. And of course, you're in Florida. You have to have air conditioning.
Yes.
Right. You have to. So you need a generator powerful enough to run your air conditioner. Well, most of the lower end, do you know what your tonnage is on your air conditioner? Is it a 5-ton, 4-ton,
So it's only a
3-ton?
4.
Okay. But most of the generators that you buy from Harbor Freight or whatever, big box stores, they'll really only run a 3-ton, and that's a stretch by
Right.
themselves. So then you think, okay, I need one of these soft starts for the generator, and I have a
Yeah.
brand new air conditioner, so I called my HVAC company. Hey, well, this if I put this on, is it going to void the warranty? I've got another 5-year warranty on this thing. It's close on a 3-ton. It's super close. And then you think, okay, well, maybe I'll do a battery backup for the whole house and bump that wattage up so that the batteries can handle that amperage and wattage, right, when it starts. And then I'm at $7,000 like you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
you're like, is 7,000 worth it for just to start
So,
my air conditioner on a backup
but
scenario?
here's where I'm looking at it from the standpoint. So when I looked at the other, like the Generac,
Yeah.
and I looked at all the work I got to go through to get a propane tank, I
Yeah.
got to get a 120-gallon propane tank somewhere in my backyard because it just won't work on a 30-gallon, which we have for our stove. So 120-gallon is what you've got to kind of plan on if you want to be, you know, 2 weeks without power after a hurricane.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with the Anchor, it's a solar panel.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
not a solar panel.
well,
It's
I
a
need,
bunch of solar
well, I
panels.
would need at least 2
Yeah.
to
Ooh.
survive.
Do you think so?
Because I'm not going to run the whole house. I mean, we
Okay.
just need to keep our fridge running. We need to keep the AC
Yeah.
running,
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
and a few. I've got some other battery backup type things that I could plug in and charge those, and then use those to run, appliances, my phones, my TV, that sort of thing.
Well, the AC is the kicker on
The
all
AC
of
is the
it.
kicker. Yes, AC
Yeah.
and fridge.
Yeah. Well, fridges are pretty efficient now. So if you have a pretty modern fridge, the amperage and the voltage on those is pretty manageable. I actually have a 5K generator. I run my 2 fridges and a bunch of other stuff and the neighbors when we were low on power. That's pretty manageable. It's that damn capacitor that's
Yeah,
built into those AC units that thing. I have a very efficient air conditioner, 87 amps. Right. So do 87 times 240. That's what the wattage is going to be, right? Amps times volts when you think about electricity. And you're like, and it lasts for a minute, maybe not even that, right?
yeah,
You're like, oh, why can't we make now? You could buy air conditioners. You can buy, I have a 2 SEER, I think is what they call it. You can buy up to a 5 or a 7, and those are all built in, but they're also 3 or 4 times the price for some of those, for some of those AC units that have some of that efficiency already built in. A soft start's $400. So it's not terrible, right? It's 3 wires and you're in business. And they're pretty great. But this whole home backup thing is pretty easy if you just didn't have an air conditioner.
right.
Everything else backs up pretty easy. I can get away with I can get away with maybe $3,000 in batteries if I didn't have that air conditioner, and then you think, well, okay, we'll just do everything except air. Well, you can't do that.
No,
And
there's
the
no
last
way.
it was 97 degrees the weekend that we lost power. It always is.
Yeah.
It never happens when, oh yeah, it's 75 out there or 65 out there or 55 out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've thought about the sear thing, and just
Yeah. Yeah.
technically we need it in the bedroom,
Yeah.
um, and possibly in the living room. And you can buy them to where you can do multiple zones
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
a decent size sear. And we've thought
Yeah.
about when our AC comes up for, replacement here soon, we were thinking about doing that, switching that
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things here I've often thought. I mean, we bought a window unit that's one of these super efficient ones, runs off 110. You actually get some pretty good, it won't cool the whole place, but at least you can get a room or 2
Right.
cooled, and it's not terrible. It's not hard on the generator. Um, so I have a backup for one of those right now, but it's just, yeah, that freaking air is so painful. And the generators that they have today that you buy at the big box store, they're just small enough that they can't fire those things up.
Right.
If you're a 4-ton or a 5-ton, yeah, you're a Generac level at that point. You're going to need, 15 or 20K generator to get those things rolling. Yeah, Jim says in chat, he says sister-in-law has a Kohler on her farm, 26K. That's a pretty good size. That's
It
a
is.
pretty big
Yeah.
diesel engine, right? Runs off, well, in this case, runs off propane. I'd almost prefer diesel at that size. That's what we ran in the military. Propane's a super inefficient fuel for generators, but auto transfer
it's
switch.
cheap.
No, super well for now. Yeah, super cheap. Self-tests every month. They love it, but rural Iowa can have some sketchy power for sure. Actually, in the city in Omaha, you can have some pretty sketchy power, as we've had here recently. Yeah, it's gasoline is by far the most powerful, gas, natural gas, propane, in that order. As far you buy any of these generators, they go down in wattage as you go. Gas gets to the most watts. Natural gas gets you the second most. Propane gets you the third. Those two could be switched, by the way. But yeah, it's some considerations to think about. I know if you're a regular podcast listener, I know the last 6 shows, this is all you heard me talk. I'm obsessing about it at the moment, but it's important stuff. Do you, Marv, where you are in Florida, do you guys lose power pretty often, or is it pretty stable?
We do.
Okay.
Well, let me rephrase that. We have, so if a good storm comes through, we're going to lose power, which is kind of ridiculous with the amount of money that supposedly FPL has put to upgrade our infrastructure. So if a good storm comes through, we'll lose power for, half an hour, that sort of thing. And we'll have a lot of blips where power will just pop off and pop back on.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating. So yeah, we do. We've got a lot of those issues.
Well, I found for me putting a big solar generator. I have a Blue Eddy AC 180. So I forget the wattage on it now. It's enough to run all of my computer stuff. I probably run consistently 400 to 500 watts of power for all the monitors, computers, all those network kind of stuff. That will back me up for about an hour, maybe 2. And that's enough for those short little blips kind of thing. Yeah. And so I think you can take a staged approach to this. It was 700. They're getting cheaper all the time. You might be able to get it on sale for 500. Figure out what your power draw is. Put a battery behind all that stuff to begin with. That may be enough. Marv, when the power flickers and things turn off, you get super mad, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I want it to be that auto transfer, and that's the problem with a lot of our stuff. You've got to manually connect things, and I want auto transfer. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah. No, and actually, with the backup, with the batteries you're talking about, the $7,000 worth, they have 10 nanosecond backup UPSs built in. Anything modern now is going to back and it will handle all that stuff. And if you're in a spot where you can do solar, right now in the United States, there's a 30% rebate on all that solar equipment. And actually those batteries are in most cases, you have to buy a certain size and pay a certain amount. Those are also available for a 30% rebate. So you kind of go, well, maybe now is the time to do it. So, hey, real quick before we go, only because Randy's asking, we teed this up a little bit. You had bought a Rodecaster Duo at a conference last weekend.
So, okay. So I've basically had all the Rodecasters. So I had the original Rodecaster, which I sold because I upgraded to the Rodecaster 2. Mm-hmm. And I have 2 Rodecaster Duos. And I have one that sits in my main office so that when I need to do something in the office, if you're going to double up, right? And then
you never know when you're going to need a backup, right?
And then I have one that I take with me on the road. So I take a Duo with me, along with the 2 Rode interview mics, wireless, and that's what we ran some stuff off of. Now, the conference that I went to where I did that DJ stuff, that was the original Rodecaster, but we hooked up wireless mics to that. I hooked up my iPad and I ran the music for the conference. So anytime we were in between speakers or we had a transition, I would just run the iPad through the Bluetooth there, and and then we ended up using all of that night for the party, and ran my iPad. And yes, and I just saw in there. I just got the email this morning for the virtual channels for the RCP2. I was going to do it today, but I thought, oh, I've got a podcast with Jim tonight. I better not mess with my
what are virtual channels, and why would I use
virtual
them?
channels are where you're able to actually control basically a DAW for Windows for the Rodecaster, and you can add in additional channels, whether it's music or whether it's, you know, some other stuff. I haven't played with it yet, but that's basically what it is, where it's going to add 3 additional channels virtually in a DAW that you can control everything from the app on your system.
Cool. Are you glad you did it?
Which thing?
You bought another one?
Yeah, I am actually. So especially the Duo. I mean, the Duos are, you know, they're half the size.
Okay.
And for most of my offsite stuff, I only need the 2 microphones. But I could still do everything else, where if I want to bring in Bluetooth, if I want to do some wireless stuff, it works out really nice.
Well, and you're still DJing, right? You're doing some DJ stuff?
So technically, no.
Right.
But anytime I go to these events and they need music, I'm like, all right, so we can do that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Randy says 4 channels available.
4. Okay. Yeah. 4 channels.
Yeah. I have not been bit by the Rodecaster bug. You know, I use a M2, and it works great for me.
So the Rodecaster, that's one of those things where it depends on what you're doing with it. I fell in love with the Rodecaster because of its ability to mix down my audio for me, to where technically I could do my show, export the audio, and upload it. I don't have to worry. But now I still clean it up myself. I do, you know, some other stuff, but I can mix in my intro and outro music. We can do some other stuff. The Rodecaster just makes it so easy and nice. And that, granted, it's a little pricey for just regular podcasting, but some of the stuff that it does really makes it easy, and it looks cool out on the road.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, if folks, we should probably wrap this up. We're getting a little late there in the Eastern time zone. If folks want to check out what you're doing, unclemarv.com, where you can get the IT Business podcast, the Unhealthy podcast. Are you still doing that? Are you still doing the Unhealthy?
Yeah, I'm a little behind on that, but still doing that. Yeah.
And the Infamous podcast,
the Unfamous podcast,
Unfamous, or
started that back up, where I'm just interviewing, you know, people from my past and friends I meet, and you know.
Yeah, are you enjoying it?
Yeah,
well, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Getting rich off those, so
you can yeah. Well, you can check it out. You're getting rich from your day job. You can check those out. unclemarv.com. Marv, thanks for. I always enjoy the time that we have together. Thanks for being my friend, and thanks for coming on. I always appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Valuable as well.
I was going to say thanks for having me, and it's always surprising how active the chat is. When I'm like, I'm not your typical home gadget geek guy.
Well, okay. So tonight we went back to some roots from home server and some of those kinds of things. We didn't plan to go there, but it just worked out that way. Oftentimes, you know, we had a list of things we were going to kind of cover, and I just kind of start talking and see what comes out. The chat room will oftentimes dictate where we go with things. And so super great. Listen, I had not thought about buying a Synology to cover my backup woes. I still may not. I don't know if I need another server in the house. Like I've got an Unraid server. I may need to figure out like how can I make this all work with a Mac and in an Unraid server. I don't know if I
Yeah.
need a Synology.
And listen, it's there if you need it.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun to have. It's a little late in the game. Synology in the crowd I was with was super popular about 10 years ago. Today, it just becomes a utility, so to speak. So I don't know. I have to think. I am spending in the next couple weeks. So I'm putting in a 50 amp service back up into the, into the fuse or into the breaker box to be able to run a generator in. So I'm doing that in the next month or two. Been buying the parts as we kind of go along. And we have a brand new bathroom that's being put in. Guess how much? Yeah.
It's 5 digits for sure, right?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it starts with the 2. So it's
okay.
We've been saving for it and I'm super excited. This is a bathroom that hasn't been updated since 1959 and they've got a lot of work to do. And after going through the parts list and the breakdown and the labor costs and everything they're going to do to that, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
That's before they open up walls and pull out the
tub. No, I
right?
know. And I even warned them.
I'll let you know. So we had a leak in what technically is the guest bathroom.
I'm going to be afraid of what you're going to tell
me. But the wife uses it because it's got the tub. Our ensuite, just a stand-up shower. So she takes baths, and so she takes that. Yeah. It had been leaking for years.
Yeah.
And we knew at some point we'd have to do it. Well, earlier this year when her brother came down to visit, he's Mr. Handyman, Mr. Carpenter, and he does all the stuff. So he finally went in and looked at it, and it was bad. So I guess what they call the plate underneath and the wall, we had dripping in the wall. So he ended up opening everything out, took the tub out. There was no subfloor.
Oh, yikes. No, I mean, is it rotted away? Is that
no? There was just sand. It was just like dirt and they just packed it in and stuck the tub. And because in Florida, all of our houses are built on slabs. Yeah, we're on slabs.
Right.
So they put the slab, dirt, tub.
Yeah. Well, at least the tub was secure. It felt secure.
So
we have our tubs up on, we got a basement underneath it. And actually the area is right, not very far from me right here. And it's been dripping for a while. And I keep thinking, we'll do it this year. And then this year turns into next year. And the next year turns into the year after that. And we just finally got to the point. Okay, we need to, it's gotten moldy. You can see the mold up there. And so the guy came in and looked at it, put his flashlight up there, looked around. He's like, I don't think this is going to be much of a problem. We're gonna spray some stuff on it. It should be fine. Looks okay. I was like, I think there's going to be a lot of subfloor. He's like, yeah, we'll account for that. It's like, it's not my first rodeo. I was like, okay. I'm just trying to be helpful. And then the other thing related to this show, because we've talked about it so much, is Paul Breran had been on in the past and talked about putting a heat pump hot water heater in his house. John Biggs did the exact same thing. And I've actually been thinking about that as well. I got to replace it. It's a 12-year-old hot water heater. It was the cheapest thing they could put in when they put it in. You touch the sides and you kind of feel it's a little squishy. You're like, okay, this thing's going to explode on me. I should probably get that replaced. I'm not going to replace it with a heat pump. I'm just going to put a regular gas hot water heater in.
What? Interesting. Because when we moved in, we took out our water heater and did the tankless.
Yeah. So I thought about that too. It's major replumbing to put the tankless in.
Really?
It's got to go. Yeah, I got to get it to the outside wall. Tankless has to go on the outside. Currently, my hot water's in the center of the house. So I got to move that to an outside wall because that exhaust has got to be pretty quick to the outside.
Oh, we didn't have to do any of that. Ours was in the garage.
Yeah,
All
you're
they had to
already
do is
outside.
all they had to do is redo the pipe to
Yep.
it.
Yep. You're in the garage. You're already almost outside. I'm in the
Okay.
center of the house
All right.
at this point. So I was like, yeah, I thought about tankless. I'll be honest, we're going to sell this house in 15 or 20 years. And I kind of want to just get a hot water heater that'll get me to that point. I'll let the next guy worry about tankless or, some of those kinds of, I thought about it. You like your tankless?
Oh yeah. Love it.
Yeah. I have a Lowe's bid coming tomorrow morning, and then I have my contractor who's doing the bathroom giving me a bid on a hot water heater sometime this week or next weekend. So I have to make that decision. They're a little bit more expensive, and I'd have to do a whole bunch of new plumbing to get it done. I don't know, Uncle Marv, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
I mean, listen.
Yeah.
You're already at 2.
It starts with a 2.
The tankless isn't really that much.
That's true. That's true.
Because here's the thing: if you're moving the pipes already, you're there.
Actually, you're not wrong, because the bathroom is closer to the wall than the outside wall than it is the inside. So you're probably right.
And they're not that big. I mean, how many
new gas line. I have to run a new gas line for it because you're natural gas, right?
Yeah, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
How many bathrooms, sinks, stuff like that do you have?
We have a bath and a half, so it's not, and dishwasher.
Oh, that's it?
Kitchen. Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh, then you can get, I mean, come on, $500.
Okay, tomorrow when the Lowe's guy comes, I'm going to have him price both a 50-gallon regular, 6-year warranty hot water heater and just your standard. Put it in, it works for the next 15 years. It'll be fine.
It's a couple $100.
Or
the tankless.
I'll ask
$500. $500.
$500 more.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But think about it. Tankless is going to be that hot for as long as you need it to be hot.
I love that. Well, okay. Well, I get a bid on both. The contractor
I take nice, long, hot showers because it is just hot. I don't have to worry about it running out.
Water is cheap here in Nebraska too, so it wouldn't. It's not like it costs me that much more. You're probably right. All right, we'll ask about it. The bid is tomorrow, so the guy's coming out. The Lowe's guy is coming out tomorrow. I'll ask him. I'll ask my contractor. I just sent an email to my contractor. Let's see if I would be disappointed. Good. He didn't respond to me. So he'll respond to me tomorrow. I was going to say, I'm going to be business. I was going to be disappointed if my contractor answered me after business hours. He should be taking some time off. Well, Uncle Marv, thanks for coming on, and appreciate you, man. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks can you hang around for a minute?
Sure.
Are you okay? We'll remind everyone that if you want to join our Discord group, I haven't said this in a while. If you want to join the Discord group, it's pretty quiet. It's not a big commitment. theaverageguy.tv/Discord will let you in there. If you want to leave that message for Christian to leave a dad joke, head over to homegadgetgeeks.com. There's a microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can leave a message there. Just send me an email. Let me know you've done that. The Average Guy TV platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And, of course, that's Christian. He was on this last week. Check it out. He's still got plans for $10 a month. Super easy. Get in on it. For more information, visit maplegrovepartners.com. And, of course, you can always send me an email. And, Neil, thank you for your weekly email. Not every week, but almost every week. Thanks for your feedback. I love it when you guys send me feedback. I don't always get a chance to reply to it or have the time to, but I always appreciate it. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. Be back next week. Actually, I don't have anything scheduled, so it might be 2 weeks. I might take next week off. We'll just have to see how it goes. Bob and Ryan from thinkcomputers.org are lined up. Dan Lefebvre is coming back on the 3rd of October. The 10th of October, Uyghur is back, surprisingly. That
Oh,
quick? Yeah, that quick. When you ask him 6 weeks in advance, you can get him on the schedule. So he'll be here, and then on the 24th, Bob and Ryan are here. We'd love to have you join us. Of course, Christian's coming back on December 5th, and we'll get some more stuff booked as we go. And we'd love to have you out here as well. For those of you who joined us live, Brian, Joe, Jim, Shoemaker, Tony, I saw Justin out there a little bit earlier. Randy, thanks for coming out. I didn't see you, Ken, tonight. Missed you. And let's see if there's anybody early. We appreciate you guys coming out and joining us in the chat room. We'll be back next week. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.
holla.
All right. I think next week I have to figure out what I'm going to do next week. Maybe I'll do another solo show. Do you do solo?
Yeah, I do solos. Probably I average about one a month, and then I have guests on every other time.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it.
You know, I have found
it takes practice.
Practice. I have found that you've got to have your topics more in a row, so you're not rambling.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't have a full old fashioned before I do a solo show.
Yeah, I did a solo last night. It was a conference wrap up where I talk about the conference. I talk about swag, and I had a rant in the middle of it.
Oh, a planned rant, or did it just come on?
It just came on. I had been dealing with AmeriGas propane issues where we ran out.
Oh,
which isn't a big deal because it was just the stove. That's the only thing we use it for.
Oh, really? Okay.
But they had told us when we called them that, oh, we can't fill that size tank anymore. We won't support it. You've got to go to a bigger one. And I'm like, really?
Wow. Are you 30 gallons?
It's a 30, yeah.
30. Okay. And they want 100? Is that what they want? Yeah.
But in the meantime, we had them come out, do the site survey to see if we were going to get, 100, gallon tank. And then all of a sudden, starting Monday, we start getting text messages that your refill delivery is scheduled. I'm like, wait a minute. You told us you wouldn't refill it.
Yeah.
You made us pay for a site survey, but now you're going to refill it? And then they're like, yeah, we get a notification that if it's under 30%, we'll refill it. I'm like, you lied.
So are you going to upgrade to 100 gallons?
No. So we found another company that will service the 30 gallon.
30. Okay.
We just have to pay a flat rate for a fill up regardless of how much goes in.
Okay.
Which makes sense because the reason that they don't want to do because it's too expensive for them to roll trucks for those. Yeah,
for sure.
So
do you think you'll get 100 pound? It's pounds, right? Or is it gallons?
It's gallons.
It's gallons. Okay.
So it's a 30 gallon cylinder or 120 gallon tank. Submarine.
Yeah. Yeah. You got a big tank. No natural gas available to you?
No,
Is that not a thing?
Not here.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I wonder why.
So that's why I have the anchor.
It's because of the water table, right? They don't want to, they can't bury those. Okay. That makes sense.
I mean, they do, but it's expensive to bury them.
And is electricity really expensive? Could you just go all electrical? Could you do an electric stove instead of propane?
Oh, we could, but she loves the gas.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
She doesn't want to get rid of the gas stove.
Does that add, well, you're in an already really wet environment because propane adds a lot of moisture into the, when you burn propane, the byproduct's water, but you're probably set to handle all that.
Yeah. There's so much humidity. So
in Nebraska in the winter, if you get too much, your windows freeze up. If you get too much moisture in the furnace is trying to take that moisture out when you're, I guess it's a balance in some ways. Randy says in chat says a little easier to control the temp with gas versus electric. And that's super true. Although I cook on electric every night and I've figured out the right things to set it at. And it's it's kind of like we're cooking on gas. You just got to figure out your stove. Now, if we replace the stove, I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
So she's also a foodie to a certain degree
Okay.
when it comes to cooking. So she's got these cast iron skillets and
Yeah.
pots, and those really work best on gas. So
Yeah, for sure.
there's an investment that she's put into this gas stove for the last
No, right on.
10 years.
Right on. Jim Shoemaker says induction ranges are even better. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, right on. And cast iron and flame is good. I mean, it's just a good mix. So I just have to, it take me a couple months to get, if we went to gas, and I could get a range. I'd have to get a new pipe installed. We could go to natural gas, and some do, but I don't know. We have a really nice electric range, and
Just
I'm really
stay
different.
electric. I mean, unless
Yeah.
you've got to have a good reason to go gas. I
It's a nicer,
would go induction before I go gas if I were
really?
electric.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, anyways, guys, joining us live. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for making it through our first Restream broadcast. I know, Marv, did it feel any different being on Restream? I didn't notice any difference.
From the backstage perspective, no.
Yeah.
Performance, no. I would have to be on the front end to see all the little stuff I could do. But
Yeah.
it's from
Live
this side.
chat room. Did you guys notice any difference? I'll let them. But you didn't, Marv. You didn't see anything different, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Now, are you streaming to multiple platforms? I didn't ask you that.
Yeah. Well, just two. So YouTube and then Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think on this I get 3 or 5. I think with this
I think
plan.
it's 5 because I just actually looked. I signed up for a free Restream because remember I told you I was trying to find something that worked with the Amazon Live.
Yeah.
Restream does.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. There you go. That's the
So-
value. That's
So
the value.
I don't have a paid version yet, and I've not done a stream yet. So I'm gonna have to do one soon.
I think you get a trial. I think with Restream you get a trial, or you get something free, and I think they do 2 or 3 free, something like that.
Probably.
Something, but you're fairly limited. Randy says, great show. Planning to join more often, Randy. That'd be all right. We'll see you on Randy. I'll see you on Saturday as well. And Marv, I will see you on Saturday. You're faithful to come out there. And
Yep,
then
I'm
Joe
in town.
says, I came in late, so I didn't realize. Yeah, we're on Restream as opposed to StreamYard. So I think I will cancel them. This worked out really well. I think I'll cancel them this weekend, and we'll go go Restream for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, I can tell you, I had it up on my iPad. It truly doesn't look any different to the viewer.
Yeah. I think StreamYard had just added rounded corners to the video, and we tried that last week. I imagine Restream will add that here pretty quick.
Well, they'll they're going to start get a nice influx of money here soon.
Yeah, you wonder how many will switch. I think this has been a good, and this is hard for me now that this is working. I may just stick with it, not do EV Mux or Ecamm. I could do both. Why? It's $16.
So the 16-month plan, you get 3 channels to multi-stream.
Yeah.
But you still get the unlimited recordings, personal logos and stuff. So I would look at the professional version, which is 5 channels. And I can get the unlimited recordings, but I could do split audio video downloads.
Yeah. What's the price on that?
$39.
Yeah. Well, and that's about the price
That's what I'm paying.
Riverside was at, or it's just $5 cheaper than the StreamYard stuff. Although StreamYard, I don't know if it goes to as many, but
it goes to 8.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I just didn't want to pay $45 a month. That was just too much.
You don't need it.
Not for this.
No.
Not for this. Guys, thanks for joining us live. Marv, hang tight for me 1 second. We will see you